Hey, everybody, and welcome into Talking Tuscaloosa. Luke Robinson along with Jimmy Stein. Eventually, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Jimmy Stein is going to be joining me here in just 1 second. I hope I've invited him to join us. Frankly, I don't know. Jimmy is always hit or miss with these things because he is technologically challenged, but I'm going to invite him again just to be sure. He might be on Hillary Clinton's email server. I don't know. Hope everybody is doing well out there. Boy, this is a lot harder to do just by myself. I'll be honest with you. It's much better when it's me and Jimmy. So hopefully he's going to be joining me any second now. Couple of personal notes. Well, not even personal notes. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I will be broadcasting the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. Jimmy just texted, said 1 minute. I will be broadcasting the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. Looking forward to that. That will be on Monday. You will catch it on the AHSA radio network. It'll be on Raycom on TV, but we want you to mute your television and listen to us on the radio broadcast if you can. And I'm excited about that. Of course, Taulia Tagovailoa has pulled out of that contest. And some other guys, Pierce Quick, I don't believe will be playing in that game. Neither will Paul Tyson. So it's going to be certainly a challenge for the Alabama squad. Some recruiting news as everything is beginning to heat up, obviously, with first signing day coming around here in December. And Trey Sanders' name is all over Bama Online and Bama Insider and Tider Insider and Insider Tider and all that shit. It's everywhere. Trey Sanders is the story, apparently. Sorry, I got to take a sip of coffee. And, you know, I can't wait to get Jimmy on here because he may be the one to be able to tell us about Trey Sanders and where he thinks he ends up. A lot of scuttlebutt about Georgia. The Texas moderators seem to think they have a great chance. Again, right now, I just read a lengthy write-up they had on their Texas 24/7 site, which was a little surprising to me. In the end, I'm still going to say he goes to Alabama until proven differently. It wouldn't shock me if Alabama was in the posture of if they don't get Trey Sanders, then they get maybe DJ Williams and DeAndre Glass. Obviously, Glass out of Texas and Williams out of the Miami area. So where does that leave Keelan Robinson, who's already committed? Frankly, I don't know. Recruiting's gotten so screwy with this early signing period. It's hard to say. Saban obviously has it figured out with the number one class and flipping Dax Hill and all those good things. Jimmy and I hadn't even talked since there was a Heisman race or a Heisman voting. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. Where the hell is Jimmy? He said 1 minute. It's been longer than a minute. I'm sitting here on the broadcast by my damn self. I do have a great story involving a hornet and a nipple. If anybody wants to stay put, I think that's something that you may want to hear a little later on. So we will be talking about that. Obviously, it has nothing to do with Alabama football. Alabama basketball gets the big win over Arizona. You say big win. Of course, when you have a big loss to Georgia State, like Alabama did, those two things may offset. If really, they may not even offset. The Georgia State loss was probably as bad a loss as Alabama basketball's had in quite some time, if you ask me, blowing a 22-point lead. Gosh, this sucks doing this by myself. I'm glad that we have some people listening. And really, I took a chance and started the broadcast a little early because Jimmy was supposed to be on. And now I'm sitting here like a bottle of piss by myself, yammering away. Alabama apparently has hired DJ Durkin in some type of analytical role. Alabama School for Wayward Coaches trudges forward. And frankly, I'm okay with it. I know a lot of people don't like DJ Durkin. I don't blame them. You know what, though? Everybody gets a second chance. Whether or not you think everybody deserves one, everybody seems to get one. Just think about, Mike Dubow has got another chance to coach in high school football after all the
There.
Alabama stuff. Oh, there's
Here.
Jimmy.
I'm
Jimmy,
here.
all right,
Good.
let me tell you what,
Lord of
asshole.
love.
First of
Let me tell
all,
you what.
first of all, I started the broadcast early, thinking, okay, Jimmy's ready. He's going to join me. So
No, that's great.
Yammering away for 5 damn minutes.
No, that's great. I can't wait to. This is going to be one of the first times in a few weeks I've literally listened to the show. I'm gonna go back and listen to the show, see what I missed.
Well, okay, so let's. I've already gone over some of this crap.
Okay, well, don't go over what you've gone over. We'll just start.
Let's start with Trey Sanders. I think Trey Sanders is the biggest question mark.
I'm on a huge recruiting kick right now. I want to talk about recruiting for 3 hours. We'll just keep it to 45 minutes.
But here's the deal.
Trey
you
Sanders.
Have to remind me to tell the story about a hornet and a nipple. Have I ever told you this story?
No, but I've got a similar one, but no.
How did the hell do you have a similar story to a hornet and a nipple?
It's similar.
Okay, let's do Trey Sanders and then the hornet nipple story. You need to tweet out that we're doing this, by the way.
Oh yeah. I'm still on the Twitter. What about Trey Sanders? Would you like to know, like where he's going?
Oh, no. Just what's his favorite ice cream when he goes to Baskin Robbins? What the hell do you think?
I'm assuming it's pralines and cream, because that's what mine is, and everyone else should have that as their favorite as well.
I'm assuming he changes his mind every time he goes.
Well, every time. How about this? I think what would be more apropos for Trey Sanders' recruitment is every time he tries something different, that's his new favorite.
Good point. So where does he end up, Jimmy?
I think it's Alabama. I mean, if I'm betting right now, I think it's Alabama because we have been the favorite. I mean, he's had other favorites. I mean, there was a time like he was going to Florida. Very much now, it might appear like it's Georgia. Texas is definitely in the mix. That's a real threat. That's not like hey, they're on their friend. No, he could legit go to Texas. I think if it's not Alabama, it's probably Georgia. But Alabama has been his favorite since 2016. That hasn't really changed a lot. So I think, I mean, what I mean is we've been the constant. That's why I think in the end, when it comes down to I've got to make a decision, I think it's going to be Alabama. But should we be surprised that it's Georgia or even Florida? No, probably not. And we're continuing to recruit other running backs. I mean, a lot of times, some of this stuff is obvious. You don't have to wait for an internet insider to tell you stuff. A lot of times it's just right there in front of your face. Nick Saban went and visited the Glass Kid at Texas this week. We're continuing. We had DJ Williams make an official visit. We did an in-home with Keelan Robinson Monday night. We're continuing to recruit other running backs. If we knew we were getting Trey Sanders, we wouldn't be talking to these other kids. So it's not a lock that we're getting Trey Sanders. The staff is clearly not certain of it. That's why we're maintaining relationships with other good backs.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it sounds like Trey is just kind of all over the map right now, maybe a little bit confused, but here's hoping we get him because you and I both believe Josh Jacobs will be out of here.
Well, we do believe that. We're believers.
And obviously, Damian Harris is leaving. So
he is.
All of a sudden, you got Najee and Brian Robinson back there.
And Jerome Ford.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, okay,
I'll say this: I was not excited. I wasn't excited to sign him, but now that I've seen him play, particularly in the practice situation, he's going to be good. He's going to be good. I'm like legit excited about his future, and as of right now, he's our third back next fall. But I think he's good there. I mean, I think we'll see him next fall. And people that aren't expecting much will be pleasantly surprised.
Okay. I mean, I'm with you, but and maybe it's just we're never interested in what's on TV. We're always interested in what else is on TV. But
that's right, Jerry.
I would take my chances with Trey Sanders versus Jerome Ford at the moment.
Oh, yes. If you ask me, hey, who do you want on the team next fall? And you can only have one, Trey Sanders or Jerome Ford. My answer is Trey Sanders because he's more of a traditional Saban back. However, I would put that with the caveat. I've sort of seen Jerome Ford against a good college defense, namely Alabama, and he's pretty good. We haven't seen Trey Sanders in that context yet, so I'm taking a little bit of a chance there with that answer. But my answer would be Trey Sanders. Yes, I think I watched some of Trey. Look, this is what it comes down to. And since we're just sitting here killing time talking Trey Sanders, I watched his huddle tape again this week, and I'd seen it before, but I went back and watched all the backs again this week because that interested me Monday. And I saw Trey Sanders run for a 65-yard touchdown, and he broke probably 3 tackles from front 7 guys. I mean, ran through tackles, very impressive, but then flashed the speed, cut outside, then outraced a safety with a good angle to the end zone for the touchdown. So one play, he showed his power, he showed his speed, and he showed he's kind of these one cut to daylight backs that have done really well under Nick. And he showed it all in one play. And the reason I'm talking about the play is because, well, yeah, we could watch backs from all over the place do that every week. Well, he did this against Hoover.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it against Hoover. And I cannot stress enough how big a deal that is. It's sort of evaluating players is very, very hard. But if all the players did nothing but play against Hoover every week, it would become very easy. Because if you can do it against competition at that level, you're probably going to be pretty freaking good in the SEC. And yeah, I'm a big Trey Sanders fan for sure.
Well, let me say this. The more impressive thing versus doing it against Hoover would be doing it against Central Phoenix City, who I called last week against Talia Tagovailoa. And those sons of bitches are a bunch of dogs. They are dogs, Jimmy. They are bad.
They can ball.
Now, a lot of that defensive line may not go to play Division I football, whatever, but they're all a bunch of badasses. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with those guys.
They romped to the 7A title, and
I would go on record and say it's the best 7A team I've ever seen, and I've seen them all. And
that's amazing.
Might be the best high school football team in Alabama history. I'm not kidding.
Who would you? I mean, let's just say this: you regardless of age, senior, junior, sophomore, regardless of age, if you pick one guy off that team that you would like to see at Alabama, who'd you pick? Of Central Phoenix City, because I'm kind of making a point here that they're not exactly loaded with slam dunk SEC guys like Hewitt, Trustville, and Thompson.
No, that's true, but the difference was, Hewitt's got its guys in different places, and Thompson does too. But it was like a litany of all badasses. I use this analogy all the time. I remember Illinois in 1989 basketball, and everybody on that team was 6'8". And everybody could handle, everybody could shoot, everybody could drive, everybody could block shots, everybody could dunk. And they thought that was going to be the new movement in basketball. And I guess in a way it kind of was. But that was the first time it had ever been like that.
Right.
And this is what Central Phoenix City was. I mean, you didn't really – yeah, you called a few names like E.J. Williams, good wide receiver. I'd like him in Alabama, certainly. I'll tell you who. If you told me Alabama,
don't they have a junior wideout?
That's like Williams.
Yeah. He's supposedly a thing.
Yeah, he's a big deal. But if you told me Alabama was signing Monte Spivey, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, he's totally underrated. He's going to Arkansas, I think, right?
Yeah,
you know who almost always has a really good back? Arkansas.
Yeah, and then Peter Parrish obviously going to LSU.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to take the place of Talia Tagovailoa in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game.
Right. By the way, Peter Parrish to me is another underrated kid. I do not care for him as a quarterback, and my understanding is he would very, very, very much like a shot at quarterback. But I think as just a wide receiver DB guy, to me, he's a legit 4-star as a wide receiver DB prospect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'll tell you what he kind of reminded me of: a better passing, but worse running Jalen Hurts.
Oh, interesting.
So, interesting. You ready for my nipple hornet story real quick? You want me to throw it in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, who's? I mean, this is why we have these listeners. I'm sure we're picking them up as we speak
Well,
because there is a nipple hornet story. This is going to be fantastic.
yeah, this is true too. Like a year ago is around this time too. That's what's interesting about it. I walk into the office, and I usually go in the office kind of early, and my dad kind of beats me there sometimes, but this time he really beat me there. Like I got there at 6:15, and there he is sitting in his chair in his office, and he sort of waves me back into his office, and I go back there, and he's just like rubbing his nipple, like strangely. And I'm thinking, boy, why do you want me to come in here for this? And I said, "What is wrong?" And he's
might not want to know that you. I can't believe you asked that question. That was a dangerous question.
He's grimacing, and I'm like, "What is wrong with you?" I mean, I really did think at first he was maybe having a heart attack.
And, I thought this was sexual.
And he said, "You ain't gonna believe this, but a hornet stung me, and it stung me right on the nipple." And I said, "What the hell are you talking about? Why would you be in a position for a hornet to sting you in the nipple in December?" And he said, "Well," he said, you know, he's telling the story while he's like grimacing and hurting the whole time. So he goes, "Well, you know, I was just laying in bed and I turned over and apparently there was a hornet in my bed." And when he turned over, like it just so happened that his nipple landed in the precise spot that the hornet stinger was. And he said it didn't sting me like around the nipple. It stung my damn nipple. And
you know how bad, I mean, this is hilarious, but how bad would that hurt?
Oh, he was just, he said, I was rolling and he was in like an excruciating pain. He said,
you're laughing.
He said, I got to go to the emergency room. So he drove himself to the emergency room. And, you know, in Ellick City, it's kind of hit or miss. If you get to the emergency room, if somebody's even there, I guess. And like he gets there and like nobody's there. And he's banging on the button and doing everything.
It's got to be the biggest emergency that town has seen in a week.
Yeah. And finally somebody comes to the thing and they're like, "Sir, yes, what's the emergency?" "I got stung by a hornet right on the nipple." And they're like, we don't know what to do for hornet nipple sting. You know, there's no protocol. You know, WebMD is like, what the hell?
Let's go to WebMD.
But I was thinking, you know, the funny thing to me is, and I learned this a long time ago in high school when we were doing creative writing, you need to look at it from different perspectives. Can you imagine the hornet there? You know, this hornet is just laying there, sort of chilling. Like, I found a nice little place to chill. You know, I only lived 3 days. This is going to be, I got a nice warm bed. And like, he's laying there. And then all of a sudden he sees my dad at about 5'10", 220, begin to roll over on him. He's like, "Oh God, no." And he's like, "If I'm going down stinging." I'm stinging the shit out of this man's nipple.
He's probably thinking, "Man, you know what I'd really like right now is a boob."
Oh,
then he's like, "Oh no, here comes a boob. This is bad news."
That's kind of like the guy who had a lisp or something, and he said, "Do you think I wished for a 10-inch pianist?" Remember that joke?
You want to hear my nipple hornet story?
Holy shit, man. Yeah,
I've got a nipple hornet story. I've got it. It's not really a nipple hornet story, but it's in the ballpark.
What are you, Blake Alexander? How do you have a story to one of me?
No one else will get that joke, but man, that was hilarious. Yeah, we know a guy named Blake that knows literally every human being. Every human being in the United States is a friend of Blake's. And Blake has a story for, if you just named like, just go to the dictionary and pick out 2 random words like pocket, pipe. And Blake's like, "Oh, I got 5 pocket pipe stories."
Or you say something like, "Man, I was in the bank today and Tyrone Prothro, like, he was my financial advisor." And he goes, "Oh shit, that's crazy. I'm here with Tyrone right now. Tyrone, tell him hello." You know, you're like, "Holy shit, man, how?"
And he knows and sees celebrities everywhere. And it's so true. Every one of his stories is true. And they're all true. And yeah. So these 4 women are playing golf, and they just complete the first hole. They've completed the first hole, and they're going to the next hole. And one of the women screams bloody murder, just screams, and then doesn't get in the golf cart. She runs back up the first fairway and all the way into the pro shop, and the golf pro is in there, and she's still screaming, tears come out of her eyes. And the golf pro said, "What happened? What happened? What's wrong?" And she said, "I was just stung by a hornet." And he said, "Where?" And she said, "Between the first hole and the second hole." And he said, "Well, your stance is too wide."
Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Holy shit, I can't believe you remembered that whole joke all the way through. I was like, boy, this is going to be this is a story now.
This is a story.
All right.
Good.
So, right. Okay, back to.
So we did Trey Sanders.
Back to business. DJ Durkin, yay or nay?
I'll say this, and God, I sound like such a homer saying this. If it was any other program in the country, I would be like, it's too soon. It's too soon. He needed to spend an additional year in purgatory. He needed more purgatory time to resolve and absolve his sins against the college football gods. And he needed more time in the penalty box. Maybe that's a better way to put it. But Nick is the best in the business at rehabbing coaches. And let's be honest, DJ Durkin, guilty of whatever you believe he's guilty of, does not deserve to never coach football again. He doesn't deserve to never coach football again. Now, maybe that strength and conditioning coach up there doesn't need to be in the strength and conditioning business of young athletes anymore. That I'll buy. But DJ Durkin, and I say this, and let's just change the story and say that he got hired by Auburn or one of our rivals, Auburn, LSU, something like that. I would still say, well, he didn't deserve to never coach again. And I think if any place is going to get him back into coaching and getting back on the coaching train and help him be a positive asset to the kids that he's around, it's Nick Saban in Alabama. So my initial reaction was, no, I don't like this, but then thought it through. And again, I'm not trying to spin for Nick. I'm trying to, what would be my opinion if he was hired by another SEC program? And that's, well, he didn't deserve to no longer coach. So I think it sounds to me like he's going to be on the support staff and not on the field. So to some extent, he is still serving. You don't go from a head coach to, hey, I'm gonna right, replace Butch Jones on the Alabama support staff. I would say he is serving time in the penalty box, but we jokingly call it Nick Saban's rehab program, and that's what the guy needs. And hopefully, he comes out of this a better coach, a better person, a better guy, and is a better coach in the future for having endured what has happened. And let's keep in mind, and I believe this is true because I'm not an encyclopedia on the story at Maryland. I don't think DJ Durkin was anywhere near the football building when this happened. He certainly wasn't there on site. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't his responsibility, because I believe that largely it is the head coach's responsibility, but Durkin wasn't there directing how things were being done, and then the poor kid died. No, it was someone that Durkin was responsible for that was there that didn't do his job, and a kid paid the worst price for it. So I'm not upset. I admit my initial reaction was negative, but it shouldn't be, and I'm fine with it. What about you?
No, I'm right there with you. And I know Feinbaum's already come out. Oh, what a horrible look for Alabama. You know what, man? I mean, he's not the head coach. And here's the other thing. Didn't that goober up at Notre Dame just win his third Coach of the Year award? He literally killed a guy. So, I mean, just what do people want? And look, this is not – I think he might have helped create a culture. But, I mean – of pushing people too far. But it's so funny, those same people love to talk about how millennials are too soft. And back in my day, when I practiced football, we didn't even have water. We took salt tablets. And okay, but things have changed, and DJ Durkin has probably learned a lesson from this, and he won't be at Alabama very long. It'll be a Butch Jones type situation. So just let it go. You know, I'm fine with it. I don't think it really matters. This is all about recruiting. That's all this is. And
Yep.
you can say win at all costs, and then I'll say, okay, you know, if an Auburn fan wants to say something, how about Bruce Pearl? I mean,
That's right.
no, he wasn't involved in a death, but I mean, he was, you know, he had a show cause when Auburn hired him. So
yeah, the NCAA has. I mean, the NCAA, I'm sure, has no. I mean, the NCAA. They're not weighing in on the DJ Durkin hire like when you hire somebody like a Bruce Pearl. So yeah, no program can walk this high road and say we're on the high road. Everybody else is morally bankrupt below us. Everyone has signed up to win. You do not lose your job in college football for working your players too hard. You do lose your job for losing games. That's why they fire you, for losing games.
Yep. That's it. Exactly right. And so yeah, it doesn't really move the meter for me one way or the other. It's not like he's not the damn head coach. He's going to take some time to get back.
I don't think he'll be on the field. I don't think so.
He'd be washing Saban's car.
I mean, everybody used to joke and downplay Butch Jones' role and sort of joke about how he's fetching coffee and is the errand boy. That's going to be what Durkin's going to be doing.
And guess what?
And now people
Butch
are acting
Jones
like he's
paid his penance, and now he's at Maryland. You know,
That's
making
right.
some bank.
That's right, and he's on the train back up, and Durkin already rode the train up, and even to the point he got a Power 5 head coaching job, and he's starting all over again. He's starting at the bottom, support staff, not even on the field, and I would say that's the penalty box. It really is, but he's in a good place, and I bet Butch Jones would tell you that his experience in Tuscaloosa was a positive, and Durkin obviously wouldn't have been where he was if he didn't climb up the ladder. He's clearly a good football coach, or he wouldn't have climbed the ladder like he did.
Yep. So, I mean, let that one go. Dax Hill flipping and Jeffrey Scooby Carter flipping was big news over the weekend, even if Tua Tagovailoa didn't win the Heisman.
Yeah. Dax Hill and I'd rather talk about Hill and Carter than Tua not winning. I mean, Tua, let's hope Tua is holding up that national championship trophy, and I don't think we'll care one bit about that Heisman anymore. So those flips were huge. I have been massive fans. If they put it this way, and this, I mean this in all honesty, and God knows I spend so much time on Huddle. I can't believe I don't. I should get royalties from Huddle as much time as I spend on it. If they had never flipped, if Dax Hill stayed with Michigan and Jeffrey Scooby Carter stayed with Texas A&M, and you asked me today, you're like, Jimmy, who do you think is the best safety in the country? I'd have said Dax Hill. And you're like, but he's going to Michigan. Why are you saying Michigan's got the best safety? Because he is the best safety. And if you'd have said, who's the best cornerback? I would have said, well, I'm going to shock you because other kids are rated higher by the services. But in my opinion, the best corner I've seen on tape this year is Jeffrey Carter that's going to Texas A&M. And you'd be like, oh, don't give Jimbo Fisher props like that. Why are you saying the best corner is going to A&M? Because the best corner is going to A&M. I think it's Jeffrey Carter. That's my personal opinion. That was my opinions before these flips. So I'm not doing the, hey, he's a Bama guy, let me hype him up now. That was I would have said the same thing about the kids no matter where they signed. I think Hill is fantastic. To me, he is one of the top 10 prospects in the country, regardless of position. I think he is as close to a slam dunk as you can get. I don't think there really are recruiting slam dunks. I think every kid is a guess, a projection. Every evaluation is a guess. It's not a science, but some kids are more solid guesses than others. Dax Hill is as good of a safety prospect I've ever seen. I compare his center fielder free range skills to HaHa Clinton Dix, and at the same time say in the box, he is the equal of a prospect of Landon Collins. I think he's a combination of those two. You can't get any higher praise than that for safety. And with Jeffrey Carter, length and speed. I mean, what are the traits you want in a corner? First, speed. Second, length. He gets an A+ in both. Great ball skills. I think kids like them are threats to show up and take jobs from veterans in the same way we've seen Patrick Surtain and Minkah Fitzpatrick do. I think Hill and Carter are the equal of Fitzpatrick and Patrick Surtain as prospects.
I mean, yeah, I love the idea of. I mean, think about it, in 2 years, you could have Dax Hill at safety, Jeffrey Carter, and then Surtain back there. Oh my God, Jeebus! What a damn defensive backfield.
Man, we're going to win some games then.
But it's going to be interesting because then we'll be breaking in a new quarterback and maybe several new wide receivers outside of Jalen Waddle.
It's amazing the talent that comes in and out and in and out. I think we're probably going to lose about 6 juniors, and that. But we're going to lose 6 juniors. There is not another program, not even Clemson, not Ohio State. There's not another program where you can remove 6 juniors and go into next season with your expectations not changing a bit.
No.
But that's how good Alabama is.
Agreed.
Our expectations aren't going to change because we lose 6 juniors. And 6 juniors, that should wipe out any normal program. Should be like, well, I hate the word rebuilding, but that's what's going to happen next year. No, Alabama's not rebuilding. We're reloading despite the loss of what I anticipate, as many as 6 or more. That 6 number is sort of conservative.
What else is out there? Alabama basketball got a win on Sunday.
Yeah. We rip on them, and now they deserve some praise. I mean, it's a good win. This Arizona team is not a Final Four team, but Arizona's good basketball team. That's another program, by the way, that even though they're not vintage Arizona, I doubt very seriously their fans are using the term rebuild. Arizona expects to win the Pac-12 every year. This year is no exception. They anticipate winning the Pac-12, making the NCAA tournament, and advancing. That's Arizona, and we beat them. That's impressive.
Well, it really, when you have a loss like Georgia State where you blow a 22-point lead, and then you have a win against Arizona, it kind of pisses you off more. If you flip-flop those 2 games, you almost justify the Georgia State loss by saying, you know what, they were so mentally wiped from the Arizona game. This is the reverse. It just pisses you off even more. At least it does me.
Right. Who do we play next?
Liberty, who waxed Georgia State.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Liberty. And it's Tuesday.
Fighting Hugh Freezes.
If they beat Georgia State, they're not slouches, but we should still win, right?
Oh, don't sell yourself short, Judge. You're a tremendous slouch.
I think we this basketball team has shown us so far, hey, don't think we won't lose to an average team, but also, hey, you're playing Arizona. Hey, don't give up. We got a chance to win this game. And I think we're going to be that kind of team that SEC-wise beats Kentucky and loses to Ole Miss. It's probably the best way to put it.
Something I just realized too, it's kind of screwed up. It's Alabama's basketball's luck that, okay, we beat Oklahoma, so we're going out to San Francisco, where a lot of our diehard fans who are big fans of football and basketball will be traveling to San Francisco, I'm sure. And they'll probably leave either on that Friday the 4th or Saturday the 5th. And we open up the 5th against Kentucky when we need the best crowd we can possibly have. And a lot of people will probably be out on the West Coast.
Wow, that is something. And this, if we're ever going to, even though this isn't the Alabama team that you would say, hey, it's this team that's going to beat Kentucky, it's probably the year to beat Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, so I think that, straight up right now, you're like, okay, Jimmy, you got to bet $100 straight up on the game. Who wins? My $100 is on Kentucky. But can Alabama win that game? Oh, you bet your ass they can win that game. Yeah, we can win. Yep, we can.
Let me think. I had something. Oh, really quickly, I want to talk about this whole expansion talk. Everybody's been on expansion again. You know, I had a thought today. They want to have all these parameters about, okay, you got to be a conference champ, and it doesn't matter if a 7-5 team gets in, blah, blah, blah. What if you put those types of parameters on the NCAA basketball tour? And everybody wants, here's the other thing. Everybody wants the SEC to be all altruistic and say, oh, well, you got to go to 9 games and you got to play 2 Power 5, or you got to play 2 Power 5 non-conference opponents if you're only going to play 8 games like the Big Ten does. Okay, if you put those type of parameters on SEC and football and SEC, okay, we'll do that. Now, for the NCAA basketball tournament, here's what we want y'all to do. The maximum any league can have is 5 teams because we only get about 3 to 5 teams in a year. So how do you feel about that, ACC and Big Ten, who gets 7 to 10 teams in a year? I bet you they'd say, kiss my ACC ass. Don't you think?
That's a great point. I love it. I'm going to steal it and tweet about it. I mean, no, that's exactly right.
So what I'm saying is,
I'm against expansion. I'm a traditionalist. I hate change. I always say, why are we bitching about this wonderful thing? Is what I always say about basically everything. Why are we bitching about this fantastic thing that we have? And the thing that's so screwed up that pisses me off is we're old enough to remember when there was no, forget the playoff.
Forget the BCS.
There was no BCS. There was, you win your league and you go to a certain bowl and
pray.
Yeah, and then let's just vote. Let's vote at the end of the year who should be number 1, even when number 1 plays number 7 in a bowl and number 2 plays number 13 in a bowl, and maybe 3 is playing verse 4 in a bowl, which is the best game, but it's 3 verse 4. That was what we grew up with, and we're like, wouldn't it be awesome if somehow there was a clear 1 verse 2 game? And then we were given that, and what did we do? We effing bitched about that. No, this sucks. There's only 2. It's not fair. There should be 4. Now we have 4. And what do people do?
Yep.
Freaking bitch and moan until there's going to be 8. So now there's going to be 8. And at the end result is this. This is what I love about college football because it's different than every single major sport out there. And that is, if you want your team in the playoff, if you want your team to win the national championship, then you start playing for it the first week in September. Not hey, let's improve and hope we're good enough in November to make it. No, Alabama played for the national championship against Louisville, and then they played for the national championship against Arkansas State, and then they played for the national championship against Ole Miss. That's the beauty of college football. That's what makes college football awesome. You have 8. Who would have been in this tournament with 8 teams? You know who would have been in? I'll just name a team that won their league that would have been Washington. Washington
who lost
would
to
have been
the 6th best team in the SEC.
That's right. They lost 3 times. They lost 3 times. So this is the deal. This is when college football, and this is what all these, and I want to be cussing so bad. I know we can cuss on the show and we could say shit and I want to be dropping F-bombs every other word about this rant because I get so mad about it because so much of the media, they're dying to move to 8 teams. I really don't know why, but they can't wait to destroy this and move to 8 teams. But let me tell you what those people, the first time someone walks out of a college football stadium after a loss and their friend says, well, that sucked. And then you look at your friend and say, it doesn't matter. We're still in. That's when college football has changed and wrecked forever. It's wrecked. The college football that we've known for 100 years is wrecked when the game is over and you can say, doesn't even matter. We're in. It has to matter. Every game matters, which is why college football is awesome. And people are trying to ruin that. They're trying to ruin it and turn it into every other sport. And I'm not saying all the other sports suck. Of course they don't. I'm not saying that 18 playoff would suck. Of course it's going to be compelling football. It's still football. You still get to win a championship, but it won't be the same. It'll be like everything. College football will be just like the NFL. It'll be just like Division II football, just like Division III football, just like Major League Baseball. It'll be just like it. The losses will no longer really matter.
Here's the thing, Jimmy. You know what you remember in college basketball? You never remember a regular season game. The regular season game I remember in Alabama, and I've been to a boatload of them, is the 2002 Florida game because it basically won the conference for us. So
yeah. I do remember that.
Mm-hmm. And I remember a few back in 1986, 87, because that was the Derek McKee team. But there's a big freaking gap in there. But I can remember a shitload of the NCAA tournament games. I remember that kind of mediocre game we had versus UCLA in an NCAA tournament game. I remember. I mean, just about any. Obviously Southern Illinois. You remember Syracuse. You know what I'm saying? You remember the tournament because the tournament's the only thing that makes a shit. But think about this in NFL. What you remember? The Super Bowl. You remember the Super Bowl every year. But now you don't remember the Giants and the Redskins have some badass rivalry, but that doesn't make a shit unless they play in the playoffs.
That's right. And tonight being a great example, I'm looking forward to. I mean, I'm a college football fan first and foremost. I like the NFL. I like the NFL a lot, actually. I mean, I'm an NFL fan, and I keep up with everything that's going on in the NFL. And tonight, I'm legit excited. I've talked about it with the wife. I've said, hey, let's do all this and do this because 7 o'clock, I want to be on the couch, big screen, watching the Chiefs and the Chargers. It's going to be a great game. Both teams are going to the playoffs. One's an 11-win team. One's a 10-win team. Exciting quarterbacks, star players. I'm excited about tonight, and I'm going to watch, and I don't care who wins. I'm not a Chiefs fan or a Chargers fan. I just know it's going to be good football, and I'm excited about it. But you know what? The losing team tonight, their fans, the losing team, when they lose, they're just going to shrug because they're going to say, we may have to be on the road, but we'll get them in the playoffs. We can beat them in the playoffs. And ultimately, who wins and loses tonight will not dictate anything other than maybe home field, which is a big deal. I'm not saying it's not.
It's not that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal, especially in the NFL. But what I'm saying is all these media guys that are just killing this thing, trying to get to an 18 playoff, that's what they're trying to turn college football into where the outcome of the regular season games, it's not that they won't mean anything. Of course, they'll mean something, but it just kills me that in the future, when you move to 8 teams, Luke, in the future, we will crown a college football national champion who has 3 losses, and they'll be the national champions with 3 losses. And I think that's just. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad to me. It's the end of college football because now we're just like everybody else.
You know what? I'm going to end this on a positive note. How'd you like to be? What if you were a Hornet and you stung the nipple of what's that girl? Sarah
Jean Underwood?
Sarah Jean Underwood. That's a damn lucky Hornet.
I don't understand why every Hornet in the country is not flying to the Pacific Northwest right now.
Why isn't she just like attacked by Hornets constantly?
She might be. Maybe that's why her boobs are so swole.
She is the best follow on Twitter maybe ever.
She's a talent, and I've been a fan. I was a fan before it was cool to be a fan, and I think we've told the story before about how long I've been a Sarah Jean Underwood fan. But so I know her. She's really cool gal, really. I mean, she's she used to host. She was kind of a host of a nerd tech show on some tech network. I think the show was called Attack of the Show, and it's really about computer games and a bunch of nerdy stuff that's even so nerdy even I don't do it, which is saying a lot. And but yeah, she's a little bit of a tech nerd herself, and she is how apropos, she's an Oregon State Beaver. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
And how about this? This pisses me off. I think this happened this year or last year at Oregon State. They were doing some sort of thing of homecoming where they were honoring past Oregon State graduates who have achieved significant things. And someone nominated Sarah Underwood because she was a Playboy Playmate of the Year. And also all the other things she's done, like host Attack of the Show and have 1.5 million Instagram followers and all this stuff. And either the school administration or somebody at Oregon State shot it down and said, no, that's beneath, or that's not an accomplishment to us. And I'm like, that's cool. What kind of society are we living in where it's not okay to honor someone like that? It's not like she's done porn,
Yeah.
I mean, Playboy, people are naked on network TV now.
Oh yeah. People say shit on AMC. I mean,
that's the P word. You can hear the P word on network TV late at night, and on Comedy Central after 10 o'clock. All bets are off. So I'm just saying it's great. I thought Sarah should have got that honor. I'm upset.
You should be.
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. Well, we will talk again next week, right before Crema.
Yeah, we'll go over some more recruits. I've watched a ton of film. I'm going to be putting out on Crimson Country Club and tweeting.
Please figure out a better way to say that.
That's what I'll work on this week.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to put out the the Super 16, best 16 prospects in Alabama, kind of a final version of who really are the best prospects in the state of Alabama. And I also do quite a bit of I rank local Mobile kids because I see all of them, and I've seen a lot of them in person and have just kind of a better bird's eye of the local kids. But I'm about to be a tweet storm, as we call it when Trump does it. There will be a recruiting tweet storm coming for me.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you next week.
Keep those nipples covered. Watch out for hornets.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. All right. See you.
See you, buddy.
All right. Bye.